All right. Thank you, Nancy. Good morning, everybody, once again. So, the subject of my talk this morning is exploring metaphysics. Um, I had a request to speak on interpreting quotes from the Bible metaphysically. And unity, this movement of unity that we are a part of, is a metaphysical Christianity. Charles Filmer, the founder of Unity, wrote the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, which uses metaphysical principles to interpret the Bible. And so, um, this metaphysical interpretation of the Bible, in some profound ways, is quite different than traditional Christianity. So, what is metaphysics? What is metaphysics? The short answer is it is the study of the ultimate reality. The ultimate reality. Meta means a position behind, after, or beyond. A position behind, after, or beyond. And physics means concerned with matter and energy. So metaphysics is looking at what is behind matter, what is after and before matter, what is beyond matter, what is behind and beyond the physical. If you've ever wondered what gives life to a blooming flower, what animates it, and what creates that color and that fragrance and that shape and that beauty, or what is this light and life in this person that we love? What's that animating their form? If you're interested in what's behind this world of matter, if it fascinates you, you are a metaphysician. Now, in my opinion, traditional Christianity focuses more on Jesus and how he was utterly exceptional, unlike us. Um, and it focuses on his teachings and how we live a morally good life. Whereas metaphysics and the metaphysical Christianity is much more interested in what Jesus was pointing to as a mystic, as someone who knows the mystery of the self, of the ultimate reality. Metaphysics is interested in what he called the kingdom of God, the realm of God. We call it uh, more often Christ consciousness. You could call it the ultimate reality beyond matter. When I was in Catholic school, first grade, I never heard the nuns talk about that realm of God consciousness that was behind all matter, behind all creation. I wish I had heard that. I didn't actually hear that kind of talk until I found a yogi who was Michael Singer when I was 15. But Jesus offered us so many deep metaphysical teachings. One of the greatest, one of the most important is when he said, "It is done unto you as you believe, according to your faith, according to your faith in the Christ consciousness." In other words, he was saying, the more we can tap into the ultimate reality, the more powerful we will create in this world. If we cultivate the consciousness of the Christ within, we can manifest the power to heal. I hear a lot of you wanting healing, asking for healing in various levels. Jesus said, "You can do these things I do and even greater things. You can heal." So I'm getting ahead of myself because the first metaphysical principle that the rest of all the other principles are built on is that there is an ultimate reality and there is a relative reality. The ultimate reality is what is behind and beyond this world of form. You know, the ultimate reality worlds come out of. Worlds come out of that ultimate reality. They exist for a while and they eventually return back into that, dissolve back into that ultimate reality. The ultimate reality is eternal, It ever is. It is the very definition of omnipresent. It is present now. It was present before. It will be present after. The Alpha and the Omega. That's the ultimate reality, ever present, omnipresent. And what Jesus and all the great spiritual masters want us to discover is that our true nature is that ultimate reality, is that eternal being. It's really hard to talk about what is beyond. To me, it's better to sing about it. You know, that's why I chose the songs I chose today, or put it into poetry. There's something about mystical poetry that seems to capture it better than mere words. So let me share a Rumi poem, because this Rumi poem is quite beautiful, where you can tell Rumi is aware of that ultimate reality. He said, "You think of yourself as a citizen of the universe. You think you belong to this world of dust and matter. Out of this dust, you have created a personal image and have forgotten about the essence of your true origin. We are so much more than dust and matter." You know, I've always liked that song, Dust in the Wind, but it's not true. That the words, all we are is dust in the wind, is not true. Actually, we are that which animates the dust and the wind and matter. And when we know that, when we know ourselves, our deepest, truest self, it has such implications. It makes us fearless. It takes away all, it dissolves all fear. And it allows us to live in joy and happiness and awe, even among the troubled, even among a world that is troubled, deeply troubled at times. Charles Fillmore talks about how the words "know thyself" were inscribed on the temple of Apollo at Delphi. And he says those words must be inscribed on our own temple, on the door, over the door of our own mind, over the door of our own heart. Know thyself. Know thyself. And then Fillmore points to what so many mystics have pointed to. He says, if you want to know thyself, if you want to know who and what you are, where you came from, what you're doing here, and where you're going, meditate on the I am. Meditate on the I am. The I am is the doorway to the ultimate reality. It is the one name that God names itself as in the Bible. One of my favorite books of all time is a book called I Am That. Gosh, I read it 30 years ago, and it just is an incredibly powerful book by an Indian yogi by the name of Nisargadatta Maharaj. And Nisargadatta was clearly, completely identified with the I am. He suggested he had all these beautiful meditations for how we meditate on the I am. And here's one. There's a short one that I love. He says, hold on to the I am to the exclusion of everything else. The I am in movement creates the world. The I am at peace becomes the absolute. I'm going to say that again because it's really deep. Hold on to the I am to the exclusion of everything else. The I am in movement creates this world. The I am at peace becomes the absolute. Well, this is such deep, deep truth. The I am in movement. When we add something to the I am happy, I am joyful, I am light, I am really thrilled to be here. We add something to the I am, and so we are creating. We're creating form, thought form, ideas, feelings. You know, we can use very powerful, and we do, we use very powerful I am statements in unity to create. So I'd like to speak a few affirmations of the most powerful I am statements. So, would you repeat after me? I am the light of the world. I am radiant health, healed and whole. I am eternally free and unlimited. I am love incarnate. I'm just imagining your voices. So, the I am is so powerful. It is the most powerful creative two words we can use. It is the name of God. And when we rest in the I am alone, nothing added, we are resting in the truth of our being. We are resting in ultimate reality. When we add something, when we add this or that, we are in the realm of relative reality in this world of matter, and we are creating. So be very mindful of what you follow the creative words I am with, and meditate on the I am. I would say that the general state of humanity is in this world and completely of this world. You know, I think the general state of most of humanity is not aware that there is anything beyond form. They are not aware of the metaphysics of life. But the spiritual masters, we are aware. That's why we're here and we're waking up. And the spiritual masters tell us in a million different ways, find the ultimate reality. That place, that truth of our being is blissful. It is peace beyond understanding. It is our true home. And it will make your life not only bearable, but beautiful, beautiful, and full of awe. There's so many stories of saints. If you, I really went through a period of reading about all the saints of India and these great yogis, and they stayed in samadhi. They were in that merged state of the I am. They were in that bliss, and they just stayed in meditation. And folks would just come and sit with them. Ramana Maharshi is one that comes to mind, and they would just absorb that consciousness. And I myself did this when I first met Amma, and in those early years, especially of touring with Amma. I just, if I had been away from her a while and then I flew to a city where she was at one of her tour stops, as soon as I'd walk in the room, the hall where she was, I would immediately just feel this expansion happening in my consciousness and feel like I have to find a place to sit out of the way of everybody. Because I would just be so drawn within, and I would be just drawn into that silence and that bliss and that absolute reality, that consciousness, because I could feel the field. She had such a powerful field of consciousness. And, we are all, when we sing We Are One, we are all very much inseparable. It seems like one body ends here and then one body starts there, but we're really all this one field of energy, and we feel each other. And we feel especially strong energy, whether it's good or bad, we feel especially strong energy that's putting out a lot of frequency. And that's why spiritual teachers tell us to keep good company, that it's really important to stay in a high vibration. Amma used to always say, it's kind of like, keeping the company of people that are vibrating at a high frequency, that are positive, that are conscious. It's like going in an incense factory. You come out and you smell good without really having to try hard. So keeping good company is important. But, Jesus and Amma and the Buddha, they didn't sit in samadhi. Thank goodness for us. They didn't just stay on the mountaintop in bliss. They came to wake up humanity. And to me, sitting with a spiritual master is wonderful, but what really matters is how we carry that into the world. Coming here, going to church on Sunday and hearing about our own Christ potential is good. It's really important. But then how do we carry it forward throughout the week? Do we apply the practices and the teachings? Um, I love that Charles Fillmore describes the unity movement not only as metaphysical Christianity, but as practical Christianity. Practical meaning practice is involved. And, Fillmore has a great quote. He says, "We all have life, and it is God's eternal life, but it does not become ours in reality until we consciously realize it, until we make it real for our own self, for our own life." I'm taking a class from Unity headquarters right now on metaphysics. And the book they use is by a Unity minister, Paul Hasselbeck, called Heart Centered Metaphysics. And it's really wonderful. I recommend it. But Paul has a chapter about the importance in metaphysics of self-reflection and how self-reflection is essential for us to know thyself. And he says we must learn to watch our consciousness, watch its impulses and desires, like a chemist watches his or her solutions, right? So you don't blow up the lab. He says it's important to bring in compassion so that self observation does not become self condemnation. There's a big difference in those two things. We need to bring in compassion, but also self honesty. And he talks about four levels of consciousness we live in. And this was something I hadn't read anywhere else, and I really liked it. So I wanted to share this with you guys. He describes these four levels of consciousness as number one, the victim consciousness. Number two, victor consciousness. Number three, vessel consciousness. And number four, verity consciousness. Victim consciousness, we're more familiar with. We've heard that term a lot. That's when we believe and feel that everything is happening to us, like I'm a victim of the world I see and experience. And we all, probably have moments of this, especially when someone doesn't treat us well or something really bad happens. It's hard. Here's an example. I had an experience a few weeks ago where my landlord put down weed killer all around my little tiny home. Or I think it was Roundup. And I came home and I was out on my porch and my nose started burning in my throat and my eyes. And I just had a terrible allergic reaction and I could smell something. And, um, and so I momentarily felt like a victim. I've asked him not to use it before. So I felt momentarily like a victim. But I was then able to shift because it doesn't feel good. It feels very disempowering to feel like a victim. And I was able to use self reflection and realize I actually do have some control here. I have control over how I respond if I stay here, if I move. And I can also uh, choose how I interpret what happened. And I can choose how I feel about the situation. That's called victor consciousness. Victor, you're victorious. That's when we've discovered the innate power of our mind that, things can happen in the outer, but we can interpret them however we like. We choose how we respond. And we also choose how we create with our thoughts, right? Um, the third state of consciousness he speaks of is vessel consciousness. And that's when I hear that, it reminds me of that St. Francis prayer, make me an instrument of thy peace. That's vessel consciousness. When you realize you are a vessel, you are an instrument of the divine, of consciousness. That's when we realize there's something bigger, there's something greater. Um, than who we think we are, and that something greater is the I am. That is the ultimate reality. We call it Christ consciousness. And in that consciousness, you know, we become aware that, you know, this is vibrating in us. This consciousness is using us as an instrument. But there's even a greater consciousness than that, feeling as an instrument. And that's when we feel, that's the last stage, verity consciousness. And that's when we truly realize oneness. We sing about oneness, we talk about oneness, but that's when we realize it. And it doesn't even make sense to pray to God because we feel merged in that. We feel one with God. We feel inseparable. That's where Jesus was when he said, I and the Father are one. I and the Father are one. It's a consciousness where you're just gone into the I am. So So this teaching suggests that we become more self-reflective of what state of consciousness we are in at any given moment. So, in closing, the study of metaphysics is vast. It's so vast. And I realize it's funny as I'm in this class, I'm realizing everything I say is the study of metaphysics, really. But I'm going to speak more on this subject because it's really important to get in touch with the principles. And today I just wanted to focus on the one principle of ultimate reality and relative reality because that's huge. That's really big to even understand. But there is so much beyond what we can see. There is so much beyond and behind this world of form. And it's fascinating to explore it. It's fascinating to explore consciousness and consciousness in us and its infinite, truly infinite potential. So I'm going to leave you with a feeling that I have. And it's this feeling that what we call God planted a question, planted these questions in our hearts, these burning, burning soul questions of who am I? What am I? Why am I here? And what am I to do? Where have I come from? These questions I feel like are planted in our hearts so that we will seek and we will find this loving creator, the source of everything. That feeling I think is best expressed in poetry, in the words of Rumi. And you can consider this is from God to you. Your longing for me is my message to you. All your attempts to reach me are in reality my attempts to reach you. In other words, what we are seeking is seeking us. So, thank you all. God bless.
Everyone, we're on the